So you might be thinking about moving from the Evergreen State to the Great Lakes State, aka Washington to Michigan. If that's you, this video is for you. Hello, welcome. This is the Living in Detroit channel. On this channel, we review everything about Southeast Michigan, Michigan as a whole, Detroit, Metro Detroit, the communities, lots of real estate stuff, and all that good stuff on a regular basis. So you're thinking about moving from Washington State to Michigan, and you want to compare the differences. You want to know a little bit about the deep dive as you're making that consideration. Well, if that's you, then this video is for you. We want to dive a little bit into the real estate market, the major differences from state to state, so you can have a little bit deeper dive on the statistics and data as a representation as you consider the move here to Michigan. Like I said, my name is Matt Talbot. This is the Living in Detroit channel. Let's get started right now. Okay, first and foremost, the overall difference between Washington and Michigan, it goes without saying. Actually, it doesn't go without saying. I totally thought that Washington State was a much bigger state in comparison, but Michigan is about 1.4 times bigger than Washington. There's this My Life Elsewhere. We use this a lot in this channel. We like this website to be able to compare stuff. It actually shows you Washington State like pasted over Michigan, and it covers up pretty much like the southern peninsula, but doesn't really even touch the upper peninsula. So it's kind of interesting. So a lot of people don't know. They think about Michigan as the mitten, of course. We also have the upper peninsula. I always do this like that on this channel. Okay, you have the lower peninsula, upper peninsula. We always do this here. And so Michigan as a whole obviously is that entire piece. The population of Michigan is 10.5 million, and we're also known as the Great Lakes State. So like I was saying earlier, Washington State is known as the Evergreen State. We're known as the Great Lakes State. So we have a lot of lakes here in Michigan. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure if you're thinking about moving here, you already kind of consider that. That gives you an opportunity to live quite a bit of a lake life. So between the Great Lakes and all the inland lakes throughout the state, there's a lot of great opportunities to be able to enjoy outdoor activities, specifically in the summer, or ice fishing in the winter because of those lakes. Two major peninsulas here in Michigan. There's more small peninsulas as well too throughout the state, but I guess the bullet point here is they are two major peninsulas, right? Lower Peninsula, Upper Peninsula, they technically are two peninsulas. There's a lot of other small ones down the sides of both Upper and Lower Peninsula as well too, and have over 300 major rivers. So like I said, tons of lakes, tons of major rivers throughout the state of Michigan here, and we do have that similar vibe. Obviously, it's not the same as Washington when it comes to that area of the country, but we do have a lot of pine trees and a lot of similar forests, not quite as big, and of course it's slightly different, but when you go up north, there is a lot of that same feel. So if you're moving from Washington, it's kind of like a natural fit if you want to get to the Midwest to choose Michigan, because you can live in the Lower Peninsula in the southern part of the state and be able to easily commute throughout the state and go ahead and check out all the great forests that we have, a lot of the natures, trails, and a lot of the different opportunities for outdoor activities throughout the Lower Peninsula and Upper Peninsula, and somewhat similar, although different from Washington. So a lot of overlap there. Up next is housing statistics, and we're going to jump right into the housing statistics here. Also, stay for the end because we want to talk about some things to do, cost of living, some other comparisons throughout this video as well too. But obviously, housing statistics are important. This channel is definitely geared towards real estate. I'm a real estate broker here in Southeast Michigan. Work very, very heavily with out-of-town buyers, and one of the areas that we've actually had people move from recently is Washington State. Thus, the reason for this video. We figured we could help people like that out to go ahead and help them understand their move and understand Michigan and be educated along the way. So comparing direct housing statistics as of 2024, Washington, the median price was $588 of all homes, which was up about 6.7% year over year. So a lot of appreciation throughout the state as a whole. Your average price was $602, so median's always a little bit lower than average typically. Your average price about $600. So in those high fives to about $600,000, really $602 for the average and median home prices throughout Washington, comparatively to Michigan. So your average residential is $298, condos $280. So it's literally about twice the cost to own a house in Washington State compared to owning a house here in Michigan. So drastic difference. That's one of the reasons why we see so many people moving to Michigan, moving to this part of the country is because they get a lot more bang for their buck. We'll get into cost of living in a minute, but typically with the housing statistics specifically, you get a lot more house here. Doesn't mean it's not a hectic market, doesn't mean it's not competitive, doesn't mean there's not a lot of appreciation happening in the housing market here, because there is. It just means that you get a little bit more house. So currently in Washington, the months of supply is 2 months. So low months of supply in Washington as a whole as of early 2024. And we're similar here in Michigan, okay? We're actually a little bit less than that in most areas, at least here in Southeast Michigan, when it comes to months of supply. So pretty similar inventory, or pretty similar market, meaning that when you have that low months of supply, typically it's definitely going to be more of a seller's market. I think we even have less months of supply in a lot of areas compared to Washington as a whole. So it's going to be a competitive market. Although homes are less expensive, there's a lot of competition here to go ahead and win those properties if you are a buyer looking to purchase in the state. Average days on market, 34 days in Washington, and in Michigan, 33 days. So pretty similar. And again, those are both competitive markets. Around a month of days on market when you talk about all the listings, all the different price points, all the different listings that are overpriced, the homes that are overpriced in the market, all the different homes that need a lot of work. They're priced in the market. Sometimes they sit for months. You're averaging all that in there, and you're still at 30 days, only 4 weeks on the market as an average. That also includes new construction that's posted and stuff like that as well too. So most of your resale, most of your move-in ready stuff, a lot of the stuff that we work with clients that they want to either build, move into a spec house, or have something that's move-in ready, those homes sell pretty fast in today's market here in Michigan, and it looks like they're also selling very, very fast in Washington. Average price per square foot in Washington, $315. Average price per square foot here, $182. So not only do you have about half the price of homes here in Michigan, it's also significantly less price per square foot as well too, because the home prices could be half the cost, but they could be smaller houses, right, in theory. And so one of the statistics that we always look at is the price per square foot in real estate. How much per foot are they selling at? And that includes the home, the land, everything all included. You just take the total price, divide it by the total square footage of above grade square footage, and that gives you the price per square foot. And like I said, Washington, $315 here, $182. Very significant difference, not just in the overall cost of the home, but the also price per square foot. In Washington, they have Craftsman, Ranch, Moderns, Contemporaries, Victorians. There's a lot of similar build types. Of course, there's a lot of different architecture out there and a little different landscape, but we have a lot of similar build types here: Ranch, Colonias, Cape Cods, Bungalow, Duplex. We talk about this a lot on this channel because we always give examples of different places in the country that people are moving from. Like we just did a video on Vegas as an example, and obviously when you're talking about the desert Vegas, there's going to be pretty drastic different types of home construction. When you look at the Pacific, the North Pacific, what's it called? Thank you, I almost said it right. When you look at the Pacific Northwest compared to Michigan, I mean, the climates aren't exactly the same, of course. There's some major differences there, but they have a lot of seasons, a lot of different type of weather. You're going to get a lot of similar build types in both areas, and a lot of similar materials as well, too. I'm assuming there's a lot of asphalt roofs, stuff like that, in that part of the country as well as here, too, just due to that climate and stuff like that. Lots of difference in housing statistics. Obviously, Michigan, again, a lot more affordable here. Homes are a fraction of the price comparatively to Washington State, but both markets are still very competitive. So looks like you're averaging 30 days on market. Looks like there's very much a seller's market in both states. Don't quote me on this because things can change and it's area by area, of course. But if you look at the state as a whole, those are the aggregate numbers. As of early 2024, we're actually spring 2024. Usually people watch this video for a couple of years after this. Lots of competition. We just wrote an offer 130 grand over list price. I sold a house last weekend. I had 20 offers on it. We priced it at $485. I sold it for $560. Obviously, those are some of the more extreme examples in today's market, but the good homes, priced right, fixed up ready, there's going to be a lot of competition. They're going to sell significantly over, and then there's a lot of variations from there. Sometimes we're even shaving some costs off of homes if they're overpriced and it's the right opportunity. But for the most part, hectic market, multiple offer scenarios, still holding place in 2024, and we foresee that into the foreseeable future as well, too. Last of not least, if you're comparing Washington State to the Great Lakes State here in Michigan, we want to compare the cost of living. Of course, that's always a big thing for a lot of our clients. And I also rolled in here a couple stats or a couple different industries for the job industry as well, too, that we can end on. So Washington is 17.1% more expensive than Michigan. That's a pretty big gap, right? Close to 20% more expensive to live in Washington State than Michigan. Let me source that article. Sometimes we get chewed out here. So we're pulling this data. We're doing the best that we can. My Life Elsewhere software is where that one's from. Restaurants are 13% more expensive in Washington than Michigan. Groceries are 5% more expensive, and clothing is 14% more expensive in Washington compared to Michigan. So overall, more expensive state. According to all of our data and the stuff we can find on the internets, it is a more expensive state, right? So you have more expensive houses, literally twice as expensive. Cost of living is close to 20% more in Washington. So Michigan, maybe more bang for your buck. You do have a lot of gray days here, as you do in Washington State. So that's, I think, kind of an equal compared to maybe a Texas or other places in the country if you're thinking about moving from there. So cost of living, more expensive in Washington than here in Michigan. Last but not least, jobs. So the biggest sector of jobs are manufacturing, healthcare, and technology. We talk about it all the time on this channel. Manufacturing is huge here in Michigan, specifically for the auto industry. We are known for the auto industry, have been like that for 120 years or something. Healthcare is huge too. Lots of hospital systems throughout the state. We work very heavily with physicians. We say it a lot on this channel. If you're a doc, if you're a resident, if you're moving to town, let us know. Literally, I'd have to do the statistics. I'm guesstimating 10-15% of our business are physicians. We work very heavily with that world. We understand it. We have some really good programs out there, and we understand the different pockets around all the different hospitals that might be of importance for you to understand. We could even do a video on that. Nick, that could be a good one. Areas to consider if you're working at these hospitals. I like that video. Last but not least, technology is growing quite a bit in Detroit, in Michigan, and again, kind of overlapping in that auto world. We just have lots of engineers, tons of electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and there's a lot more software engineers moving here to Michigan because of the auto industry as well too. Interesting fact, Michigan has more engineers than anywhere else in the country. So lots of engineers here working on cars and manufacturing and technology and all that great stuff. Interesting fact too, Detroit credit rating upgraded 2 notches, reaches investment grade for first time since 2009. So this is huge news for the city of Detroit. This is really big news for Michigan. A lot of you haters on this channel, oh, what? Yeah, Detroit, that's what I'm talking about. Hate on it all you want, but we just reached investment grade for the first time since 2009. What does that mean? So because of the auto industry, because of the bubble and the crash back in, back in 2008, 2009, Detroit really was hit hard, okay? So we actually went into bankruptcy, came back out of the bankruptcy. We're the fastest major city to ever come out of bankruptcy, and now we're at investment grade for the first time since 2009. It's really, really important. What that means is companies are investing here. So those of you that are hating, why would you ever move here? Like, I love the haters on this channel. Detroit's an awesome city. There's a lot of things happening. It actually puts us ahead of Chicago as likely to be invested in for a lot of different businesses and organizations. So really good news. We're drastically changing here in Detroit. We love that. We're excited for it. There's a lot of changes, and I think it is severely underrated. So if you haven't been to the area, you're thinking about moving here, just visiting, come check out Detroit, come check out what we have to offer. There's a lot of things going on here. So yes, we're excited for that news. My name is Matt Talbot. This is the Living in Detroit channel. I am an associate broker of the Talbot team. We help people just like you every single day move here to Michigan, and we absolutely live for it. Stay tuned for our new videos, especially if you're thinking about moving to town, because we're here to educate you and help you along the way.